Today we are doing what I do every week, which is play media literacy card and board and digital and video games. I am joined today by the incredible, please introduce yourself.
Mackay Helcrow.
Mackay Helcrow. Did you want to give any other facts about yourself? It's all online, so whatever you say is permanent.
I'm an employee here at Fourth Space, and
Sure, I roped him in.
And I'm never on. I'm never on the screen. So
this is true. It's when you take the guy behind the camera and you put him in front of it, you never know what's going to happen. Well, thanks for being here.
Of course.
Mackay said he wants to play the worst game first. Now, I haven't played any of these card and board games that we have here today. So, I think this one looks pretty bad. I don't know where the camera is. I'm just going to put it there. It's called Fake News Headlines. It's an alternative fact game. I'll read the back of the box, and you can tell me if that's the one you want to play. It says, these days, it is difficult to tell the difference between real news and fake. In fact, sometimes it almost seems made... Okay, they just end the sentence. We thought everyone should have some fun with this. Here's your chance to create your own fake news with friends. Oh, look at that, we're friends now. And create your own fake news headlines. Players create fake news headlines based on topics from the editor. The best fake news headline wins the Full of It prize. First player to win 3 prizes wins the game. Sounds pretty crazy. Then we have Alternative Facts, the fake news party game. I can't tell you what this is beyond there's a card that says winning in the box.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. You want to do that one? We also have another game called Alternative Facts, but without the hashtag.
Whoa. But which one haven't you played yet?
I haven't actually played any of these from top to bottom. I have opened this and looked at it once, which is hashtag Alternative Facts, and I've opened this and looked at it once.
True.
But I have not actually played any of these.
Well, let's try one of the ones that you haven't opened at all then.
Then I haven't opened it all, so we're going to have to figure it out then from top to bottom. Let's start with this one right here. It's also called Alternative Facts, but without the hashtag. And I got the expansion pack.
Sure.
Which we'll leave for now in case we think we need it.
So it's like the same game.
I think it actually is just the same game with more cards. And that's the beauty of like educational games like this. Is I mean, is that the beauty? That is a part of educational games like this, where you have people make something and then just go with it. Now, I don't know if we have to organize these, but you can take a look at them while I'm reading through the instructions, because part of this research method is not knowing what I'm playing and seeing how easy it is to play it outside the box.
Of course, yeah.
Because if someone's making this for schools or classrooms, the idea is that the school and classroom can pick it up and play it. And so can they? That's us to figure out.
It's got to be accessible.
Exactly, it's got to be accessible. So, instructions. The objective of this game is to assemble the maximum possible number of opinion points for yourself. Okay, so our goal is to get opinion points. That sounds easy enough. How do we get an opinion points? You win opinion points by assembling sets of matching alternative fact cards called truths. In many games like Gin Rummy, have you played Gin Rummy?
That's like a card game, right?
Yeah, it's using it as an example.
Yeah,
have you played
in
it
terms
before?
of like tricks.
Yeah, these sets are called tricks, but that has such a deceptive sound, so we call them truths.
Okay.
Okay, you're gonna have to maybe explain tricks to me. A valid truth can be made up of 3 or 4 identical cards representing the fact that alternative facts have to be repeated in order to be believed. So I'm going to read that one more time because I feel like that's important. A valid truth, and we win by getting truths, can be made up of 3 or 4 of the same card, representing the fact that alternative facts have to be repeated in order to be believed.
It's interesting wording, to say the least, I think.
I'm not quite sure I actually understand that wording, but we're going to pretend like we do and go with it. So preparation. Shuffle the deck prepared as described in the cards.
So I should shuffle this.
The deck contains 2 types of cards. There's fact cards and aggression cards. Fact cards, there's 7 sets. Are there 2 types of cards?
It doesn't say which type of card.
But are there any other colors?
There's blue, green,
there are more
pink,
colors.
Purple, yellow, orange. Seems like we got a lot of colors.
So the deck contains only 2 types, and none of them say fact or aggression card on them? Because that's not helpful if they don't say that. But okay. So I'll keep reading the other card types.
Sure.
There are fact cards. Start with 7 sets of cards 4 alternative facts and their corresponding opposite fact card. Add a set for each. Okay, so wait, do you find cards in there that are all the same? Like when you read through them? Are there a
Yeah,
lot
so
of the
here's
same?
3, for example. They all say eating chalk makes you sing better.
Okay.
And they're all labeled as singing tips.
Okay, why don't we put those all together? Because I think what we have to do to make the deck is we have to make sets of cards right now.
Okay, so I should go through the whole deck and
Yeah, so what's the green card after them? Because it might be pre-organized for us.
it's not, unfortunately.
Oh.
Plaster Manufacturing Association of America admits that plaster eating causes desire to play Dungeons and Dragons, not vice versa.
Well, I feel like isn't that connected to eating chalk? Is chalk plaster? Not really.
I don't believe
See
so.
how, for the viewers, isn't this incredible instructions? 2 people are clearly struggling to get through. Start with 7 sets of cards, 4 alternative facts, and their corresponding opposite fact card. Add a set for each additional player above 2.
Okay, so it seems like for every maybe set of
These.
what looks to be 4 blue cards that
Yeah.
are the exact same.
Exactly, there's one
like a
green card. That's why I'm
corresponding-
wondering if that green card you showed me is the corresponding.
Well, it seems like they all have a different symbol, so I imagine that this
What's the
would go with
symbol?
this.
Oh, they have
Here,
a matching
it's-
symbol?
Yeah,
Oh, now the game makes sense.
it's all coming together.
Yeah, so there are 4. Yeah, there are 4. Hey, I kept reading. There are 4 cards for each alternative fact. But you can put down a truth as long as you have 3 of them. So remember earlier when we said truths are sets of 3 or 4?
Yeah, so it looks like it is all pre-organized. The only
Okay.
difference is that the last maybe third of the deck are all kind of random.
Well, there's also an opposite fact card for each truth.
hmm,
A player with an opposite fact card for another person's truth can fact check the truth and show the card.
sure.
Do you see anything that looks like an opposite? Because also,
No.
because I think the things you're referring to are aggression cards.
Okay, so maybe I'll put the aggression cards aside then.
Place 3 of each in a deck for a 2-player game and add 1 for each additional player. So are they like, can I see them?
Yeah,
perhaps,
of course.
per se? Perhaps the camera can zoom in on the cards right now if it's possible. Social media echo chamber. Just so like we can see. Perhaps it helps. I don't know if that helps anybody watching. I can put one on the table. Maybe helps. You can move it however you want. The light is strong. We can read them out. Social media echo chamber. Yeah, okay. So it looks like there are 4 different types. Social media echo chamber, share this post, major news, rituals. Okay. Totally get it. We got this game down. So our deck is made out. Oh, apple juices. Real gameplay stuff right here. Real game for the camera. Where's the camera? Where are you looking? Right here. Oh, I'm on it. There's just a lag on the stream. Okay. So I'm gonna make this deck. Will you fix the camera so people can potentially see the cards as we're going? And if not, that's totally fine. I'll read out the cards for everyone who's watching anyways. So what we have here is start with 7 sets of cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4. So we need 7.
Sure. So
We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we need 3 of each of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I think this is our deck. This is our deck. So we can put it all together. Are you good at shuffling?
I'm not the worst. I can.
You're not the worst.
I
I
can
mean, you
give it a
played
go.
Gin Rummy, so
Sure. I should
so
just
all the
shuffle
extra
these.
cards we can just put off to the side here. Those are those parts of the 2 that you pulled out. I think those also go in there.
Yes,
I just didn't have the arm length for it. Okay, we've made the deck. I feel like I'm kind of getting a feel for how this game works.
I think so.
Okay,
We'll see how it's played.
we'll see how it goes. So now the first thing. So first player is made the dealer. Would you like to be the dealer in this case?
Sure, I'd love to.
Okay. Let's nice shuffling. 10 out of 10. No shame. It took me years to learn how to shuffle.
I'm trying to shuffle for the camera, but it's It's tough to operate the camera and be in front of it at the same time.
I mean, you're crushing it. 10 out of 10 job, I will say. Okay. Play proceeds clockwise. I mean, there's only 2 of us, so it's just going to be turn-based.
Sure.
Do we start with any cards? 7 each. You can deal us each 7.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'm reading. Sorry, I'm reading this at the same time as trying to process it and see what's going on. So players must draw a card either from the deck or from the discard pile. Makes sense. Once there are multiple cards in the discard pile, a player may pick up multiple cards as long as the bottom card picked up can be used immediately to establish the truth.
All right. I'll finish with the shuffle. So 7 each, you said?
7 each, yeah.
Gotcha.
I feel like I would just love a step-by-step how to play. So we've each got 7 cards, and player proceeds clockwise. The player must draw a card either from the deck or from the discard pile. So we don't have a discard pile yet, so that's fine. Are we supposed to have a starting discard pile? Turn the top card up for the discard card. So flip that.
Flip the
we have
first
a
card
discard
over.
pile. Look at that. That
Perfect.
is a potential truth card, I think.
Australia does not actually exist, is what it says.
Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. So go. On your turn, a player must draw a card. We talk from the top or from here. Once there are multiple cards in the deck, a player may pick up multiple cards as long as the bottom card in the discard pile can be used immediately to establish a truth. So I think like if the last card here, if this card establishes a truth for us, we can pick it up.
Sure.
Or the bottom card picked up. So as long as we know that the card that we're looking for is in the discard pile, we can just keep picking up cards in the discard pile. So we get the card we want. So you can pick up like 15 cards
Gotcha.
if the one that you want is there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Each truth. So the game ends with someone discarding their last card, which is called going out. I feel like this is just like a matching game. Like we're trying to create sets with what we have in our hand.
Oh, it's just like
and then finish. Yeah.
It's just like a matching game, but with a different
So
theme.
okay. So I think what's gonna happen is you draw cards. You don't do scoring until the end.
Sure.
When do you put down a truth? This is the one they don't explain this here. Okay, so the 2 things it seems like you can do on your turn is you draw a card, and then you can play a set from your hand if you have a set. And if you don't have a set, or you don't want to play a set from your hand, you can also play what are called opposite fact cards against what someone has put down as a truth. So if I have a truth down, you can use like a reverse one, which can be social media echo chamber, share this post, email, or story, major news network pickup story, or beware the trolls.
That sounds fantastic.
Okay. I don't know if those cards tell you what they do on them.
Some of them do.
But there's a thing here that tells me what they do. So if we play one and we're not sure, we can figure it out together.
Sure.
Play cards. Scoring. So, okay, just in case you care for points, you get 5 points for every alternative fact card you played. And alternative fact cards are the sets.
Sure. So an alternative fact card is like a set of cards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which is confusing how it's written.
Why do they word it like that?
You know, you would think that this game would be pick upable in like 5 minutes because it's cards.
You would think.
You would think.
Yeah.
You also lose points in this game. You lose 5
Dang.
opinion points for every alternative fact card still in your hand at the end of the game. So if you don't get them out, you're going to lose points.
And when does the game end?
When one of us runs out of cards in our hand.
Okay.
So pretty much first one out of cards is probably going to win.
And when do you pick up cards?
At the start of your turn, you always pick up either from the deck or from the discard pile.
Gotcha.
That's the one rule I understand.
Gotcha. But you can only pick up from the discard pile if
you can make an alternative fact set by picking up the last card you pick up from that pile finishes your set. So like I have 3 or 2, because the set is 3 or 4. So if I have 3 of Australia does not actually exist in my hand, then I can pick that up.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay, and then we'll worry about scoring, but you lose points for everything still in your hand, pretty much. So pretty much just don't have things in your hand. Last thing you can do, because apparently they put this after you score, but you can do this on your turn.
Yeah.
Anytime during your turn, you can also confirm a truth with an opposite fact card in your hand if it matches up to one of your truths. And the opposite fact cards.
I still don't know what these opposite fact cards
I think those are the green ones. Remember those green ones?
The green ones are the opposite facts.
So like every set of blue has a matching one green card in the deck.
Okay.
And so if you play that matching green card on your set of blue cards, you confirm that what you're proposing as a fact is actually true.
Yeah.
And by confirming, you're going to get bonus points at the end of the game.
I see.
Okay?
Yeah.
So would you like me to start or would you like to start? Technically, I think you're supposed to start.
I'm supposed to start because I'm not the dealer, or I am the dealer. So yeah, you would start.
I'm gonna start. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick up from the discard pile.
Mm-hmm.
No, I can't. Never mind. I can't do that. I totally don't have a card with Australia in it. I'm gonna pick up from the deck, and that's my turn. I can't play a set, so I'm just gonna pick up, and then it's gonna be your turn.
So I'll pick up. But you can only pick up
if it finishes a set for you.
So instead, I would play these two cards then, because they're
so a set of the blue cards, you have to have 3 or 4.
Okay.
So if you don't have 3 or 4 of the same card in your hand, like the same,
so it doesn't work. So
then you can't play. That's why I picked up.
Yes.
Yeah, straight up, I totally did not have a full set in my hand.
So I'll pick one up as well.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, so that's your turn. Then I'm gonna go. Well, so technically you pick up first, so you could go now if you wanted to. If you just picked up a set.
I haven't picked up a set.
Okay, I mean, sorry to force you to tell me.
No, it's all good.
Now I'm gonna pick up this Australia card because I have a set of 3.
Oh wow.
And I'm gonna play my set of 3.
But do you have to have the green one as well?
No, if I have the green one, I confirm it, and then it goes away, so you can't mess with it.
Sure.
Because I think that those bad cards that we said, like the Echo Chamber, Share This, Major News, and Beware the Trolls, they all do something. So in case you care, the one that's about Echo Chambers, stops me from ever fact checking with the green card on here. It just goes on top and stops it from ever being fact checked. And then if there's one that says Share This Post, if you play that card, what does that do? It's a wild card. So you can use it to actually bolster a set. So if your set only has 2 and you want to get it out of your hand, you can use a Share This Post to make
I think I just picked up one of those cards. Not to disclose.
That sounds pretty good. I mean, do I have one of those? I don't have one of those. Then there's Major News Network. You can discard it to get an extra turn. And finally, there's Beware the Trolls, which forces you to skip your next turn.
Gotcha.
Which is kind of the same as giving me another turn. I guess it wouldn't be in a multiplayer game.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So I have gone. I've played my set.
Sure.
It is your turn. You can either first you have to draw no matter what.
Mm-hmm. No matter what.
When do we discard?
So I picked up.
You picked up. Now you can either play a set from your hand. You can try to mess with me by playing a bad card from your hand.
And what if I have, for example, hypothetically, if I had another one of these, could I think nothing happens.
I think it
can't
just
play it on
there.
top of that. Okay,
yeah, it doesn't say that you can just discard cards from your hand. So I don't actually know what you ever do with that card.
True.
Because you know that my set, there's only 4 of them in the deck.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll use the Share This.
Okay.
Wild card. Do you only have 2 cards to make a truth? Don't worry. Use this card as a wild card with 3 matching alternative facts to make a truth anyway.
So you got a free wild right there.
So, but I guess you can't.
Do you have so if you had 2? So if I only had 2 Australias.
Yeah.
And then I played this, I'd have a set now of 3.
Okay.
So if you have a second one, you could get a third, you could get your card out of your hand.
But it says you can play any of the.
Yeah, you can play with any of your sets. But so if you have any set of 2 that you want to make a 3, you can play it. I really feel like this game isn't a little convoluted at all. There's no signs of that whatsoever.
I hope the makers of this game aren't watching this and are...
Oh, I mean, they totally can. I was definitely tweeting at some of the game makers whose games I totally trashed.
Yeah.
I think, like, they're meaning well. I'm seeing what's happening here.
Sure.
I'm seeing what's happening. But, like, you're kind of just stuck with a card.
Yeah, I feel like if there's no way to discard cards other than having these sets, I feel like you're going to be accumulating cards for quite some time.
I'll keep reading the rules. Are you doing anything else on your turn?
Well, I guess if I'm playing this, can I...
Do you have 2 other matching cards to put with it to get a set?
I guess I don't have exactly matching cards, no. I just have the 2 that are in the same category.
Oh, if you have the 4th one in your hand, which you do... Oh my gosh, okay, this is actually important. You can play the 4th one, because I didn't play it, and you can steal this from me.
I say
I think that sounds like the right play.
I feel like
there's like a little sentence here that says, if a player has a truth of 3 and you have the 4th one, you get to take that for yourself. No, it's okay.
I played the 4th one, and now...
So you have stolen the conspiracy of cartographers that tells everyone that Australia does not exist, and it is now yours for the end of the game. And if you have the Australia symbol on a green card, you can like claim it for bonus points.
Okay, I don't yet, but at some point,
don't tell me. It's competitive.
It's a practice round. Still,
it's a practice round. Okay, that makes sense.
It's a practice round / So, is this like now out of play?
No,
or
it sits there because you can still lock it in with the green card.
Right.
And there's the social media echo chamber can stop you from locking it in.
Gotcha.
Okay, so that's your turn. I'm gonna draw. I don't have a set, and there's no cards in the discard pile, which is what I was trying to actually figure out what happens. Okay, let's restart because we've skipped a lot of rules.
Restart?
Well, we can keep going from there. No, you know what? Keep your points.
I'm kidding. Let's do it. Let's
shuffle. We know how the game works now. We're going to play a full round. Is this game supposed to be educational or just a social commentary game? I think that's actually a really great question to be asking, because a lot of the time when you like Google like media literacy games or like fact check games or things like that, you get this weird line that's both. This is marketed when I came across it in my research to try to find these games, I'm Googling media literacy card games or games to use in the classroom to teach media literacy, like keywords like that. And so there is some capacity that someone has marketed this game to be used as a teaching tool. Though, watching the play right now, I wouldn't say that I'm learning a ton right now, whereas it's more a cheeky comment as you're kind of pointing out in the chat. I mean, I don't know if you feel like you're learning a lot right now.
Not really. I mean, I think there's like something interesting with the whole, fact and what's fiction kind of notion. But this doesn't really, it plays around with that, but it doesn't actually teach you much about media literacy, I think.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not actually learning how to fact check. I'm not actually learning kind of how these systems work. I'm not actually learning anything about, like, we have these 4 aggression cards about like echo chambers and sharing and a major news and beware the trolls, and they have mechanics tied to them, but do those mechanics actually relate to what they're doing?
It's kind of just like you could have this same game just with like a different text or different images or a different theme or whatever, and it would still play the same way.
Exactly. So. I mean, I think we'll play a full round so my rule for a lot of these games is because based off past research, most media literacy or most educational games typically take 30 minutes or less to play.
Sure.
From watching, I get the feeling that making fake claims is more powerful than otherwise. And I think that is also what I'm kind of getting from this, that like, you don't make what I learned in the last one is I lost all my points because I made a claim before I had all my facts. And these kind of bad cards or like these negative cards seem to have a pretty powerful effect on the game. So the one thing you have to do at the end of all your turns, by the way, is discard a card from your hand.
That's what you do at the end of.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the start of your turn is you draw a card. The end of your turn is you discard a card.
You have to discard a card.
You have to discard a card.
Okay.
Specifically writing, they say, at the end of your turn, you discard a card to show that you're finished.
And it could be any card.
And from your hand. But yeah, any card. Because I was wondering where our discard pile went.
Yeah.
But I do get the feeling that it's trying to show kind of like the nefarious side of things, but is it doing it well? So let's play a full round through. I mean, not a full round, but like we'll play for like 15 minutes and see how it goes.
Yeah.
So we have in our discard pile, in case you can't see it, singing tip. And the tip is eating chalk makes you sing better. I don't know if that's true. I'd have to look that one up outside of the game anyways, but I started last time, so why don't you start this game?
Sure. So
first thing you do is draw a card.
Draw a card.
I have such a good hand though right now. You better be ready.
All right. So I drew a card.
Yeah, you drew a card.
And now
so you can play a set.
Yeah.
You can play any of the aggression cards, which are those four like pretty colored cards.
Yeah.
Or you can just discard a card and end your turn.
And if I play a set, do I also have to discard at the end, regardless?
You still have, no matter what, at the end of your turn. And you win the game if you have no cards left in your hand.
Okay. And
so maybe you have the dream hand. A set is 3 or 4.
3 or 4.
Remember, if you play 3 and I have the 4th one, I can slap it down and take your thing.
All right. So I'm going to pass then. But I'll play.
So you discard a card then.
Can I? Okay. Well, then I'll play this card. I'll play this card that says, when you discard this card, the next player must skip their turn.
Well, you got me there. So you play that.
I play this.
Yeah, in the discard.
Goes right on top.
Yeah, it says when you discard this card, right? So you're discarding it. And then you get to start your next turn. And I just have to sit here and suffer.
It's the nature of media. I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, that's what the trolls do. The trolls apparently make you skip your turn. Would I say a troll makes me skip my turn in general? I mean, I guess if we're talking about time, if you really want to stretch it, like if I find an internet troll, I might like spend some time reading the comments and stuff, which isn't healthy. Don't do it.
So I'll discard. This card here that says Total Truth Tattler website posts article. What? Total Truth Tattler website posts article claiming Martians report no evidence of hot air balloon visitors to their planet.
Okay. So you've discarded a flight history. That is a card. It's green, in case anyone can see it. So we can use those if we had a set of hot air balloons to like confirm the set.
Exactly. All right.
Now it's finally my turn.
Finally.
I'm gonna get you for that evil card play. So I pick up a card. I don't have a set. So I'm not going to play that, but I can get you back because I also have trolls in my hand, and so beware the trolls. You're going to skip your next turn. So it's going to go to meet again. I'm going to pick up a card.
Damn.
Yeah, that's right. Take that. You're suffering. You're suffering right here. Guess what? I have another set of trolls in my hand. Another set of trolls. So I'm going to just discard that, and you have to skip another turn. I'm going to draw a card. Oh, well, I don't have a set still, but I have a card that lets me take another turn. So I'm going to put that down. This card that lets me take another turn is the fact that a major news network is picking up my story. The story is I have nothing to tell because there's nothing in front of me.
Yeah.
But I guess the networks care about nothing, which maybe is a statement and a social commentary when we think about it.
Quite topical, I think.
I do think it'd be a funny way to maybe supplement lessons. I do think like if I was teaching media literacy right now, I might use this as like an opener, or as like we have a unit on media literacy. I teach it at the very start. We then do a bunch of stuff, and then we play it again like during free time periods.
Yeah.
That could work. Anyways, I picked up another card. What does this card do? Okay. I have to discard a card from my hand. I'm going to discard this balloon.
I'd be curious to know what people who are really, who maybe study journalism or, any kind of media would think of a game like this. If it would really speak to them.
Yeah, I mean, the title is like so the title is Alternative Facts, which if anyone's been following like at least American journalism, like that's a phrase that you see kind of picked up and used, especially during the Trump era, as kind of like a poking fun, and then pointing out journalism. So like, I do think you could use this, and I think that's a thing for a lot of games. So you've picked up?
Yeah, I just picked up. I would bet that all of these games have been released in the last 6 years or so.
Yeah, so in media literacy games in general, the earliest game I found is in the early 2000s, and that's via Media Smarts Canada, and that's an outlier. For most of my data, the games that we're seeing are 2016 earliest, a few before that, and that's like the list of like 50 plus games.
2016.
Well, to be fair, fake news as a term didn't really come into like public eye until then, right?
Well, exactly. That's why I think it's it's connected to some extent.
So it's kind of come together in a sense that is interesting to think about, but also when we look at these games, is this an effective tool for teaching? I mean, as you're saying, it could be a supplementary tool. And I think a lot of educational games can do that. Did you discard a card yet, by the way?
Sorry, no, I was just, I was engaged in the conversation.
Sorry, no, you're totally welcome to. I just want to totally destroy you. None of us have gotten points yet.
Sure. So time to change that maybe, because I'll play discarding this card gives you an extra turn.
So man, I think we picked up all of them.
And I pull another one out.
Yeah, you pull another one.
And I'll use the wild card, which means that I can then play these two alien cards. Wait, can I do that? It actually
sits with them. It's like your full
Okay,
set.
it sits with them.
I think so. That's what it says here.
2 matching alternatives.
Yeah, you just share it. You put it down with your truths anyways.
So I put this down, and it says, that claims, all Hollywood celebrities are under alien control.
Perfect.
Who knows if that's true?
And no one knows. No one knows.
This game really gets you questioning the facts.
I mean, I feel like if I was playing this and I was like, I don't know, 12 or whatever, and like I'm reading these things, I might be like, I don't know. Would I agree? Would I disagree? I feel like that's hard to know. Okay, I picked up a card. I can't do anything. I'm gonna play this. No, I'm not. I'm just gonna discard it. You can go.
Sure. It's just you're not playing.
I can play it to stop you from doing a thing that you can't do right now. So why would I do it?
Oh, another one of these. Another one of the share this.
Okay. Do you have a set with it?
Yeah. Super Apocalypse. Superman comics contain clues to the date of the apocalypse.
Man.
Again, who knows? This could be true.
No, I mean, we have to prove it. We have to prove the truth here. That's actually the goal here.
I don't think this is true.
Are you sure? How do you know?
It's true. You never know with these things.
I mean, I feel like if I'm running this, right, and a student has that done, I'm like, how do we know if this is true or not? And then you take this into a larger conversation of how do we fact check? Because none of this is really teaching me how to fact check.
I know. In a way, you could argue that this is dangerous. If you played this enough,
someone in the chat, if you played this enough, you wouldn't believe anything anymore.
I think so.
Maybe that's true, but in life, do I believe anything anyways? But guess what? It's my turn again. I drew. Did you discard a card, by the way?
Okay, I didn't. So I'll discard another card.
You're almost out of cards. This is not good for me.
I'll discard this.
Discarded that. Okay. I already drew from the deck, but I'm gonna be mean to you.
Sure.
I'm gonna steal your set and claim it as my own.
Ouch.
And now it's mine forever. And you know what?
The media.
I'm gonna claim your other set.
What?
Got the green card.
Things are not looking good for me.
It's a game of thievery. That's what this truly is. I can't take another turn, so I'm going to discard my Australia card here. Also, I should point out that these green cards, because I kind of just went over it. So we just talked about how Superman comics contain clues about the date of the apocalypse. This green card tells us Super Apocalypse. Superman appears at Sirius Comics Con, denies being involved in apocalypse. So we have the truth now.
I wonder if there's, some kind of idea that this is trying to convey in the whole stealing aspect of, taking facts, alternative facts, quote unquote, that have been already played down, and then playing another card to like take them away, almost like twisting it in a way. I wonder if that's
I think that's kind of part of their intent, and I think that's actually a part of the game that there also is a thing that this might not be actually a good two-player game.
Sure, that's the other thing. I'm sure it plays very differently.
But I feel like maybe that back and forth of stealing from each other happens in a 4-player game. Because right now, it's either I have it, you have it, or it's in the decks. But if there's 2 more people here, It's I have it, you have it, or one of the random
It's true.
people has it.
Could be a completely different game.
And I think that might have better highlight what they're getting at. But we'll do 5 more minutes for the purposes of time. Apocalypse is Marvel and Superman is DC. I love the superhero reference in chat. I don't think the game is going that deep into the superhero lore, but you are 100% correct, and you should own that correctness, because how dare they get that wrong?
How dare they?
Also, I think that's really funny. But I finished my turn. It is your turn.
So I go again. So I'll
you're
draw.
Totally up.
And I have to discard a card.
You do.
So
if you can't play anything, you have to.
I'll discard this card here.
Ooh. Okay. I'm going to draw from the discard pile.
So when you draw from the discard pile, does that mean you can just like
draw as many as you want? They all go into your hand though, but the one that you stop on has to make a set. And I'm making a set and locking it down. And what facts I'm telling everyone is that chalk fact, that eating chalk makes you sing better. And the truth for that fact is, the singing tip is, the Flat Earth Society denies the existence of chalk.
Sure.
I don't. The Superman one seemed a little bit more like it was being proven false in some capacity. But are we trusting the Flat Earth Society?
It almost seems like no cards, even the opposite ones, are even truthful. It seems like everything is kind of fake, quote unquote.
I feel like if I wanted to make this an educational game, I would have some truth in it.
Exactly, to kind of like show, like, see, it's easy to believe certain things, but let's bring it back to reality.
Exactly. I've discarded. I find that really weird. I feel like they're going too hard into like, this is funny.
Yeah.
Like, people will laugh at this. And I think humor is super important in games. I mean, part of my work looks at that side of things too. And I just don't know if it's hitting properly in this, in what we're doing here. It's tough to tell. You've drawn and discarded?
Yeah. Okay. I drew and discarded.
I mean, things are looking better for me right now than for you. I have drawn and I have also discarded.
Okay. I'm allowed to like look through the.
Yeah, you're totally allowed to look through the discard pile.
Just see if
you have to draw every single thing up to the thing that you want, though.
Oh, really?
I would have expected the game to have more historical events than funny fact.
I agree.
I 100% agree. If you're going to do or myth busting is actually what I also thought might be happening with like the alternative facts, is that they're playing like myths on the card and then they have a truth around that myth that you put down to like claim it. Because I think the idea is that like these sets of the 4 blue ones or 3 blue ones are called they're referred to as truths in the game's rules. And so technically I'm saying that this is true, and then I'm confirming my truth with, what is this card called? A opposite fact.
But it's not opposite at all.
It's like related. It's like a deny. It confirms it through denial.
But it would be interesting if that was the educational aspect, is that then it presents the actual truth.
It's true, and the game is called, the points aren't called points, they're called opinion points, which I think maybe is saying that a lot of the facts are actually just pure conjecture.
Which is also maybe topical.
I think if we frame it that way, you can actually make a lot of points to talk about with like kids.
Well, students. I mean, because of media bias is unavoidable.
Yes, we can get into it's true. I also just think if we look at like disinformation in general, a lot of it comes down to like belief systems and ideologies, and so you could talk about that a little bit in this game, but I don't know if it comes across as they're trying to get it across. Is the one thing I'm saying.
Yeah.
Did you go or did my?
I pulled a card.
You pulled a card.
I honestly, I don't understand it. I'll read it out loud. No, I will not have my opinions altered. I am unmoved by evidence. I get to keep my truth and this opposite fact.
That is, if you put that down before I put a green card down, you can stop me from getting the bonus points from the green card.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Well, I'll
it's kind of a dead
discard.
Card now.
I'll discard this.
Yeah. I'm gonna draw a card. I feel like we might have gotten to a stale point in the game.
Yeah. I
draw a card. You guys skip your turn.
Dang.
I draw again. I will also get rid of a social media echo chamber.
Well.
And it's your turn again.
I'll draw a card.
Yeah, the point is not very clear. I agree that the point of the game is not very clear. I feel like the rules themselves, if you're trying to, make something educational, should have it very clear in the game. Like this game, so like the first sentence here is the objective of the game is to assemble the maximum possible number of opinion points. I would rather have that be the goal of this game is to talk about how opinion influences fact. You win by accruing the most opinion points.
See, now
like that
we're
sentence
getting
alone sets my mind in a certain way. You know what I mean? Like that's a way that the design has been done.
Yeah.
Where you're not really feeling it. Are we feeling stale in this game?
Well, I'm at this point now where I have another one of these share this wild cards, but then it's I would need at least one more.
Well, and I have the one that you're looking for because I saw your hand.
Oh.
That maybe we have played the game. I think
we know the game.
We have learned the game.
I'll give you the victory for this one.
I think we all are winners here,
we're all
winners. We're all losers here.
Sure.
It's an A or B system right now. Okay, well we can clean that up, and so the next step in terms of like the research process, if I'm doing like a video game, what I would typically do on stream is I would pull up kind of the methodology documents, and I would go through kind of what we just kind of played through and talked them through. And one of the things that I've realized is that those documents that have, that are based off kind of like research methods that have been tried and true, don't apply to physical games. And so instead, I'm going to kind of that's part of my methods, I'll be reevaluating kind of how we can talk about physical educational games. But we've talked a little bit about the game, but why don't we talk about kind of the key points that most of the game studies methods kind of would talk to. So the first thing that we would talk about is kind of the interface on a video game. So the interface of a video game is kind of like what you're seeing on the screen, the menu options and things like that. Obviously in a card game, we don't have that, but we can refer to the interface as like the table setup.
Sure.
So we have like a deck of cards, we have our discard pile, and we have our hands.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at kind of what I would typically be talking about is like, is there anything learning implied in how the game is set up? Like, is there anything on the cards in terms of the card backs or in terms of like what we're seeing that is like related to the educational goals of the game? I would say probably not.
Yeah, I was going to say no.
Yeah, I don't see kind of any real connection between the learning goals of the game and what we kind of just had in front of us.
Yeah. This is I guess this is the card back. This is what we see.
Yeah, the card back is that nice.
And it's got the
yellow
alternative spelt out in, the classic newspaper clippings.
The Joker and Batman.
Exactly, which kind of, in a way speaks to, like, when I see that, I think of like anarchism in a way.
Yeah.
When like the way that newspaper clippings are like.
Yeah, it points to the chaos that it's getting at.
Yeah, exactly.
It points a little bit to the theme there.
Yeah. I'm sure it's deliberate, but I don't. Again, you're right. I don't know if it achieves maybe what it was.
I would say it's weak at kind of in terms of the appearance, setting up what it's trying to set up. Because even on the cards, right, we have like those little symbols of like the singer. Yeah. Those are just referencing the card. They're not referencing kind of the idea of spin.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, I would. That's our quick analysis there of the interface. Sure. The next thing we would talk about is like the interactions, so the mechanics of the game. So in this game, the mechanics involve making sets, confirming sets, denying sets, and then using kind of aggression to either take sets from each other or, kind of spin things in your favor. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about those mechanics? Do you think we talked about it a little bit while we were playing. Do you feel like we're learning anything in those moments? We're kind of experiencing anything in those moments?
No, not really. I'm also gonna say no. I am curious to know what it is like to play this game in a larger group, because you said it could be played up to.
It says 2+, so I feel like you could have any number.
You could have any number. So I wonder if it's like drastically different with more people, and that's something we won't.
That's something we won't figure out today.
But just in the 2-player gameplay. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I would play this game again.
I mean, I feel like that's a common thing with a lot of these games is that you wouldn't ever go home on a Friday night, call your friends up, grab some beers, and be like, let's play Alternative Facts. That is our board game night game.
Someone in the world who's doing that, right? With this game.
I don't think so.
Fan.
I don't think that this is the one that's going to be causing game party night fever. And I mean, that's kind of not the goal of the design, to be fair. Like, to be fair to the game, I feel like the devs aren't being like, oh, hey, we're making this game for people to play on their board game nights on Friday. Maybe they were really optimistic. I personally typically don't look to play a learning game. I'll look to play like a simulation style game on like a Friday night, you know, something like represents like a farming sim, but like it's like a board game. Totally would play that.
And honestly, before we started playing, just based off of the title, I assumed it to maybe be a bit more simulation in a way, with the way that with new, you know, fake, quote unquote fake news is spread.
I think that's reasonable. I mean, I kind of personally was hoping for a little bit more of kind of that idea of like truth, and then kind of either pushing against the narrative, like getting points for like disowning the truth, or getting points for then owning the truth, but having one take longer to do. Like, I think if I was making this game, it'd be like, you can lock in a bunch of fake facts with like one of those bad cards. You'll get less points for it, but you can stop the other player from kind of manipulating it before it can get out there. Or if you like really save up your hand and you get like a big set and you can confirm it with like a truth card or something, then all of a sudden like you've shown that like putting the effort into like finding the truth can be worth more points in the end, right? But if you're taking too long to find your true answers, then the alternative facts will win, right? Like, you have that weird kind of back and forth is what I was hoping to see. And I didn't really see that. It would be more of a party ender, especially with the aggressive cards among kids. I could see a kid being really upset that they have like their set and then someone just takes it. Like, I mean, I took like 2 sets from you.
Yeah, it took a while to accumulate that.
I would be so mad, and then you're just sitting there with like no cards that you can use. I kind of fully agree that would be emotionally exhausting, especially for some children that can't handle, you know, I mean, totally. I don't know what you were like as a child playing games. I used to cry in Mousetrap when that little cage fell on my mouse. I mean, it was I still cry when mice get trapped.
You know, there's the level of competition that's there always. Through these discussions about this game, it kind of just makes it seem like it had way more potential.
Yeah. Well, and you know, actually, you're a great person to ask this next question too. So the last part of kind of the analysis is kind of like looking at the gameplay itself, like overall, like holistically, and like, so this is a game that they say themselves relates to Gin Rummy. I have never played Gin Rummy, but you have a little bit. Do you kind of see it connecting to like typical card game styles?
Again, no. I mean, I think this whole aspect of taking tricks, or what we kind of discussed at the very beginning when you were reading the rules. A trick is like, in a way, it's like a point, but it's made up of like a set of cards. So that is the same, but the game is completely different. There's like no similarities.
Okay, because I mean, I think literally on the back of the box, and I'll read it right here. It shares many elements with the classic game Gin Rummy.
I mean, I could be misremembering the game. It's
now
true.
I feel like I have to look up Gin Rummy.
When I played Gin Rummy, I was introduced to it just as Rummy, so maybe that is a different game.
You didn't have the gin part of it.
I know.
I mean, alone that makes the game probably much more stale.
I know. Well, I wonder what if there is a difference. You know?
I mean, there might be. I don't know. I know that you were only probably going to join me for a bit. Did you want to play one more, or because I know Jacqueline was also potentially going to join for a game. So,
Jax, you want to hop in?
You want to jump in?
Sure.
Come on over.
Thanks for playing, enough. Though. Of course.
You've been fantastic to play with.
Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Once again, I am still the best player on my stream because all the other games I've played have been solo games, and I've won them all. Because you cannot lose in like 95% of educational games. Fun fact. So you don't think you can steal points in Gin Rummy? I didn't think you could either, but like I said, I've never played it. So I'm like, can you not? I almost feel like I need to get a group of friends together and be like, let's play Gin Rummy, and then after be like, guys, just kidding, we'll play one round of Gin Rummy and then we're gonna play alternative facts, and then as someone said in the chat, I will lose all my friends. But that's gonna happen. Okay, so we just played alternative facts. Jacqueline, would you like to introduce yourself for everyone on stream?
Hi, I'm Jax, and I work with Fourth Space.
Jax is amazing. They're wearing a really cool blue sweater today. Sounds like a great games night. Yeah, does it? Does it though? I mean, you're welcome to come if you're in Montreal. I'll buy the drinks because I'll owe you all something. So Jax, we have fake news headlines, an alt fact game. We can play the other alternative facts game that I have here, which is called hashtag alternative facts. The fake news party game. Now that one is a party game first on my way. I can't wait to see you. And we have Lamboozled, which is the media literacy card game. Which one is just too tempting to pass up for you today?
I mean, I'm curious here about the party game. What is the difference between a regular card game and a party card
we
game?
can find out and learn. It's called hashtag alternative facts. I can put it, maybe, I don't know if that helps people see it, if they want to see it. It comes with a nice little card sleeve that I don't think matters. And there's a card that says winning. So I actually did open this game and set it up one time. So I think I kind of remember how it works, but I'm going to read it anyways. Because that's part of, the process of learning. Are you good at party games?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's promising, for me at least. Okay. Rulebook. Welcome to the post-fact world of lucrative headline crafting. So we're making headlines today.
Okay.
You and your team, so we're a team, of genius entrepreneurs must work together to make the most click-baiting headlines possible. Is this cooperative, though? Hell no. Oh, they got us there. You want to win the headline by contributing the best card to it. So screw those other guys. That's kind of sexist. No, I'm kidding. The cards. Each card has a noun, verb, or adjective on it. You and the other players will use the cards to construct a single headline. Okay? Do you feel like you know how to play? I'll show the cards. So like you see that. There's these ones here. These ones here. What are you laughing at? I see you laughing.
Oh man.
Okay, I think these are like some of the things we're going for. So we see like these cards have like terms on them. They have colors on them. This one just says sexist, which I mean, clearly it heard me say it the first time. It's beside the box so they can see it. There we go. People can see that maybe. And up here. I don't know. Maybe that helps you. Okay, so we have the cards there. So we have the card color, which I think matters, if I remember correctly. The card name, which the words at the top. The following colors, so we have colors on both sides. Some cards have what's called a hot button icon, which is the exclamation mark. Some have the starting icon, which is the little player button. And they also have clickbait strength, which is the number that you see on them. So like a 1 isn't very clickbaity, but like a 9 is like super clickbaity. Okay, keep them with me. Find the winning card and set it aside. Done. Shuffle the deck and deal 6 cards to each player. We can do that, right?
Yeah.
So it sounds like we're going to be making headlines using the cards that we have. Playing the game. I will read this as I shuffle. So first off, we have to determine who goes first. The player who most recently read a news or fake news article goes first. Have you most recently read a news article? I read one last night.
I have not, no.
Okay. And I read fake news a lot.
I believe that, considering your research.
Yes, yeah, I don't actively seek out fake news, but is this also being a teacher or regular board game educational spice? I think this is a game because it says the fake news party game. That I think it was someone who wanted to use hashtag alternative facts to make a game that they thought would be like a regular game that has kind of like a flavor that it could be used. I don't think their first goal was to make an educational game based off the fact that it doesn't come with any learning material. Just double checking. Yeah, it doesn't come with any learning material. There's talks about kind of like promoting it on social media for like selling purposes. And I have a feeling that this probably came out of a game jam. If I were to make a guess, is that someone went to a game jam, came up with this idea over the weekend, and then finished it off and kind of published it. I will fully admit that some of these card games that I've purchased, both physical and digital, aren't super easy to find. And part of that's because they kind of flopped and didn't work anymore. You're laughing at something in your hand, and I want to know what that card is. And partially because I think some of them are just like educational games have a really hard time reaching their audience. And if you're interested in that specific theme, that's what we're talking about tonight. I wouldn't recommend cooperative/betrayal games in schools for classroom peace reasons. I also think that's reasonable. I think that like you want a game where kids can kind of do their own thing and there's a little bit of like interaction, but you don't want a ton of it because otherwise the game gets derailed by like the social dynamics at play. I could see like maybe some cooperative games working if they're like light cooperation, like what I'm doing. So we have a game here in the space called In Our Garden. It's a playtest game. It's a card game made by Haneen, and Haneen is a member of Gamerella and Tag, and they're fantastic if you're everyone's interested. But the game is a game where everyone's kind of doing their own thing around like growing plants, but there's kind of like collaborative goals where like I'm trying to grow tomatoes for the community garden, but we have to get like 5 tomatoes. So if I grow like 3 things of tomatoes and you grow 2, then we can get like our 5 faster. But I could technically do it all myself. So I think like those kind of games might work well in the school. But let's see if alternative facts, which I don't think has betrayal so much in it as the last one, could work. So we have our 6 cards, right? I dealt you 6 cards. On your turn, since I'll be starting, play a card that has the play arrow to start. So I get to go first. So I'm going to play a card that has the play arrow. Now, I know that this is a live stream, and so hopefully this doesn't get too bad. But the first card I have in my hand is a 9-point card with a play arrow with the words anti-Semitic. And so we're going to be really cautious of where this goes, Jax. Yeah. Mainly because right now I'm not at home playing this where I can talk about the dark stuff that could potentially come out. That's exactly what someone planning to betray would say. I am not trying to betray, but I'm trying to show what this game is trying to show and why I might not want to run this in the classroom all the time, depending on how the sentence goes. Because I think it's like kind of that ridiculousness that you get from certain card games of like a phrase just kind of exists and it's really problematic.
Yeah, this could go downhill very quickly.
I trust you and you trust me.
Yeah.
And I apologize to anyone who reads whatever we end up producing. So on your turn, you can play any card that has blue on the left-hand side of it to keep the sentence going.
Oh no.
So currently I'm winning because I have the highest clickbait in the title because I put a 9-point clickbait in the title. But if you put something higher or equal to 9, you get the winning card. Okay, so what are you adding next? Would you like to say that out loud?
Anti-Semitic, Kellyanne Conway.
That's our sentence so far. You get the winning card because you're on, and that's actually that's the whole thing because it has the exclamation mark. The sentence ends. That is our headline. Are we happy with this headline?
That's a great question. Can one be happy with this headline?
I think it's a clickbait question.
I would agree. I think this would get some clicks.
I think it would get some clicks. Were we supposed to draw? It's the only thing I don't know. Either way, you've won the round because you had the winning card at the end of the sentence. So you get that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You get to start the next round if you have a card that says play. Ending the round when the round ends. Winning the game. The first person to have 7 piles of cards wins the game. So you have 1 of 7. I think we always draw back up by 1. Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah, we just draw a card. So you can have a card because you've played a card, and I can have a card because I've played a card. Okay, so that was our first amazing sentence. Do you have a card that has a little play arrow? If so, you should play it.
Sure.
Okay, so we have massive for 8 clickbait points. You're currently winning. I have to have something that has blue. I mean, let's just get this out of my hand and seal it. Massive Trump. That's the headline. For 10 clickbait points. Give me my winning card. Bring it over here. Look at that. Crazy gameplay. I think if I were to compare this to the last alternative facts, I am learning even less.
Oh yeah, there's nothing here.
There's nothing here. Did you draw, by the way?
No, I did not. Thank you.
What do you mean by there's nothing here? Expand on that for me.
I mean, if you know who these people are, then kind of you're going into this aware, but say you don't. Say you have been kind of outside of news headlines. You don't know who certain people are.
Did you know who Conway was?
Yeah, unfortunately, okay. Yeah. It's just, you're just playing a kind of game. It gives you no information. at the present.
I would agree with that, but maybe we can just think crazy with this 10 clickbait starting card that I have here, which is Google.
Oh.
Google for 10. So you got to beat 10 if you want to get more points than me in the track. I agree with you that right now I'm not learning a ton. Google suing. Ooh, okay. Let's keep it going. Awkward. Because I can match with the green or the blue.
Oh, okay, I see.
So Google suing awkward. You probably have a blue to end it. I think all the blue ones end.
I do not, no.
You don't? You can't end it? So then you draw.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well.
Do you have it now? Okay, that's like... And does it even make sense? Google suing awkward WikiLeaks. Does that... If I read that, would I click on it?
No.
Would I even know what it's telling me?
No, but you would find it on Yahoo, you know?
You would find that on Yahoo. You would find that on Yahoo. Well, I get the points because I had the highest clickbait score.
Of course.
Which is now 2. We each draw up to 7. If you don't have 7. You have your hand?
I can't do math.
Okay, I'm going to start with something a little lower clickbaiting according to the game. YouTube video, which... I love that that's a title headline, you know, YouTube video. I think if you were to use it as a tool, you need to have questions like, why are you playing that card? Or why do you think this gives you clicks, social media attention, develop from that? I actually think the clickbait score is the most learning part of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, technically you could use this in like a language classroom to talk about sentence, like headline construction and like, why are these the starting cards and why are these the ending cards? And like, what do the middle cards look like? You know, you're like, you know, subject, verb, noun thing. I don't think this is the best game for that though.
No.
But I do think the clickbait points are good because you just now said YouTube video apologizes for, and you get the winning card for the round so far off of that because apologizes for is like a very clickbaity thing. And if we think about it, I mean, if any of you have ever spent any time on YouTube, apology videos always have millions of views, like millions of views, because it points to some kind of drama. But I'm going to take that right back. With the other high clickbaity thing that we all know on the internet is busty. So we now have a phrase that says YouTube video apologizes for busty. Can you beat a 10 clickbait point card?
Oh, and
to
it has to be
blue.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Gotta finish it off. I have a card that could finish it.
I mean, I just have that. But
okay, YouTube video apologizes for busty scandal. That is a headline.
That is, yeah.
Out of the headlines so far, you know, we had Massive Trump, we had the anti-Semitic one, we had WikiLeaks one. That is the most feasible to be a headline. Do you feel like you learned something today?
Still no, unfortunately. But I can see the point about sentence structure and what actually creates a headline and what could be compelling.
Yeah, I mean, you also watched us playing the last game.
That too.
Are you noticing any key differences in their use of alternative facts?
I mean, you're creating.
At this rate, you might not even use the cards in the way the game intended, people are saying, by the way. I think that's something it's something I would see on a gossip newspaper. Yeah.
This feels like a BuzzFeed demo.
Feels like yeah, I also feel like you could take a version of this game, change the words a little bit, and like do some kind of brainstorming thing with it.
Yeah.
Like you could totally use this as like an incubator for like a title or like something to like work with, right? Like, I don't know, if like we wanted to, you could then like make like a random story off of like the YouTube scandal or like have like a game come out of that if you really like raw, like you need ideas or something. I don't know. Okay, we'll do one more round.
Sure.
I feel like we've kind of understood how the game works, but we'll finish it off. You have 7 cards. I guess I'm technically supposed to start, or would you like to start? Just
please go ahead.
Okay, well, let's start with something crazy like North Korea. See, it is, you know, we are chuckling a little bit. You know, I think I'm laughing slightly more in this game than I was laughing in the last game.
I do not have a red. Do I have to keep?
No, then I get to go if you can't go. Cool. So North Korea trolls. I do feel like what's happening right now is slightly more set up for like a joke, but I definitely think that like to run this in any classroom that's not a high school classroom, that's also not an American high school classroom, I'd want to make some changes, because like this is a pretty American game. I mean, like I have Democrat in my hand as like a term I could play. I know Republicans in here, and I know like the names that they have are almost all like American politicians. But I mean, it makes sense. Like, where are they going to make the games, right?
Sure.
Where most games being made, at least that are in English. From my work, at least, it seems to be the States. It does ask for slightly more thinking to find the best continuity, or if you end the sentence. Like, I would agree and disagree that like I'm not thinking a ton, because I'm technically just matching colors. Because like right now we have North Korea trolls conservative, and so I have to play a card. So I have 5 cards in my hand to show you what we have here. I have 5 cards in my hand, but I can't play Russian because I need to have something blue here. I can't play cause, and I can't play called for. So all of these are useless. So I have to either play a conservative iPhone or conservative Democrat. And like, yes, now I have a choice of like what makes more sense. But if I'm like being like a pure gamer here, yeah, the color thing makes it like you actually don't have to think. Like a little bit of like, you actually just look at your point value and you look at your color and you play the highest point value in the highest color and you go for it, right? So I would play Democrat here. And I've won another hand, which means I beat you 4-1. But that's not the point of the games here. Because also I think this game is slightly random on if you have like the proper cards. But I do think like it points to some concerns in design. Oh, you had a lot of the same colors, like, and so now you're kind of stuck with a lot of you have a lot of ways to start a sentence. I mean, what were you wanting to use next? If you got to start, what would you have done?
I don't know. I guess it depends.
I would have totally gone with racist, because it's most points, which I think is honestly based off the conversation we have in the chat and we're having here at the table. I think that's kind of the one learning point for the game. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So just as we did with the last one, I'm going to ask you to kind of walk through with me kind of the key points of like breaking down a game briefly before I kind of go through these again on my own outside of the streams by rewatching the streams and the gameplay that was done here. So the first thing we always talk about is the interface. So just like the last one we talked about, what does the game setup look like? So in this case, part of our setup is these kind of sentences we're making, right? So, right, you end up with something like that, or it was like YouTube apologizes for scandal or something, right?
Yeah.
Do we think that there is kind of some educational potential in the setup? Do we feel like it's pointing to anything about alternative facts? Like I said, it doesn't even tell us what the goal of the game is in the instructions, but do you feel like there is some kind of any form of educational stuff happening in the interface or what we're seeing of the game?
I'm not entirely sure. I don't really see a lot of educational facts using, like, I guess the alternative facts, that concept, because you still need a lot of external awareness to play this game.
Yep.
So you might not be able to figure out what is alternative, what's not, if you're playing this without that context.
Yeah, I mean, I think in appearance wise too, like, I guess if someone were to tell me that this is a game about making headlines, which it kind of is, there is some of that in the nature of it's trying to make a row across.
Yeah.
Where, like, I guess the interface kind of hints at the idea of making a headline. And the back of the cards, I don't know if you can tell on camera because it's probably like a bit too focused. They are just a bunch of news headlines, which if we do compare to the alternative fact card back, which is just the yellow, if people can see that, it's more than in some capacity, right? Like, you have a little bit more connected to at least what they're trying to get at, which is they have the actual thing of the game on the card back. I don't think a card back is going to make or break anyone's educational game, by the way. It's just pointing out kind of what we're seeing here.
Aesthetically pleasing.
I think it's a nicer card back. I think it's a bit cuter. I mean, I could totally make this in a publisher file in like 2 minutes. It's not like anything crazy, which is why I do think this is kind of maybe like a game jam game or something. But a lot of games don't come with how they were made, which is why I think it's really important if you make a game to release a design document on how you made that game. I would love to read it. Just saying. I'm looking at my computer. The camera's actually there. I'm just saying. Though I think the camera's on the table right now. So just saying. I don't know if you can see me that way. Okay. The next is the mechanics of the game itself. So that's like what we did. So what we did, right, is we have our cards with our numbers, we have our little play arrows and everything. So do you find the mechanics were, I mean, we kind of talked about this already, but like, do you find the mechanics of the game were educational in any capacity? Were they talking about news headlines? Were they talking about like clickbaitiness? Were they talking about kind of those pieces?
Yeah, it did definitely the information about what words, what kind of statements could be made and what has more value and what people are likely to go to. But again, is that true? Where's the biases in that?
Yeah, like so I actually think
on that.
I think the most learning for this game comes out of breaking down the game with your students, of like not actually playing the game, but like getting them to like put all the cards. And I think someone was hinting at this in the chat, right? Like we get all the cards and we just look at them for like, why is this a 9? Why is this a 10? Which ones did you have 1 there? Yeah, why is billionaire a 1? Right? Why is the term like receive millions from a 9? And like those things, I think mechanically, because like as a player, you are thinking about, I want to win the thing, so it's the most points there. And I do actually like that the winning card goes back and forth, because I mean, you don't feel it as much in a 2-player game. But like, let's imagine like we start with something that has like a 5-point start, and then you play a 7-point, I play an 8-point, someone plays a 9-point. We can watch how like the different turns of phrase do influence the clickbait victory. That's about the best I can give this, mechanically speaking. But like for how fast it is to pick up play, this was easier to understand than alternative facts which we played. Like it was less convoluted. I mean, you watched us sit there and read through that instruction book for probably what, 15 minutes, you think?
I was trying to
probably on his phone now.
I was trying to comprehend it.
Yeah, about 15 minutes. Yeah.
It was
not very comprehensible. This one was comprehensible. Like you pick it up pretty fast. Also, a difference is they have a little rule book which had pictures in it. Pictures in it. I never know which camera. I typically stream with just my own webcam, so having 2 cameras to jump back and forth from, it's impressive. I feel like a celebrity right now. It's crazy stuff. Yeah, okay, so that's the gameplay kind of discussion. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
I just think, the usability of this is a lot higher. So there is a lot more potential with this to actually be picked up in school to have a conversation about. You're more likely to get something fruitful out of something you can comprehend than not.
Yeah. I don't see myself using this in a classroom. Like,
no.
I don't see a version of myself teaching in a school and being like, this is what I need to make my lesson work. I could see myself using this in maybe like an undergrad class.
Yeah.
Where we've talked about like American politics, and we've talked about like misinformation in headlines, and I want to break up my lesson with something that isn't a PowerPoint. I would maybe do like, we're going to play this game for 15 minutes and I'm going to just like hand out like 5 copies of it or whatever, however many students I have, right? And have them sit in like groups of 6 or something. Maybe I use that then. And even then, is that I don't know. I'm not convinced that this is the thing that we want to use.
No, it makes sense why it's a party game. I think now we've.
Yeah. I mean, and if we compare it to other party games, what party games does this remind you of? I mean, I think personally it reminds me a little bit of like Cards Against Humanity.
Exactly.
But in a really bad way. Like not like I would rather play Cards Against Humanity than this.
A little bit of apples to apples, if you.
A little bit of apples to apples. I'm trying to think of a game that has the matching mechanic. Because like Cards Against Humanity, apples to apples is just like finish the phrase or like fill in the sentence, answer the question. This is like you're making a funny phrase, but you're doing so through pattern recognition and point recognition. And I'm trying to think of a game that does that. Do you think an educational game should be simpler in complexity, or is complexity key to the educational value? I think you can make a simple educational game. I think that there is totally like very direct to learning educational games that can happen of like, I want to take a very specific concept, a very simple and specific concept, and boil it down into like a very simple aspect of the game. Like if you actually wanted to make a game about making headlines, if you want to teach students about like emotional language and headlines, I would take a version of the idea here and I would just kind of rework it a little bit, because I do think the simplicity of this is potentially helpful. I just don't think I would run it where the students can kind of ignore the headlines themselves and focus on like color pattern recognition and have them focus more on like the actual words that they're putting in play. Is I think what I would do is a difference. I do think complexity in educational games is a fine line, because like something pick it up fast and do it quickly, right? Which means if I'm a teacher and I have 30 minutes to teach a lesson, I could potentially pull something like this out. Whereas if I make like a really complex game and it takes time to understand it, process it, and then play through it and set it up, that's a detriment to the learning. But if we can make a complex game that isn't hard to understand and isn't hard to implement, that's like the sweet spot. That would be what I would call a good educational game. In the sense of like, when a game is complex but not convoluted, what can happen is your students can play it and they probably won't understand everything, and that's okay, because that's what you as a teacher do. Like you sit down and you can break down what's happening here, which is why I think this could work in like an undergrad class, but I wouldn't really use it with younger audiences just for the nature of the language that's kind of coming out, and the fact that if I'm a younger child, I might just focus more on the color matching than the actual words and phrases themselves. Of like, you can break down this game, and breaking down this game is, I think, a really important part of teaching games.
Yeah. Sure.
From like a learning side. So that's hopefully kind of an answer to your question. But I mean, it's probably a bit of a larger question than I can answer in the time that we have here as well. My last question that I always have in my notes, well, I don't always have in my notes, but it's in my video game educational breakdown. So Jax, do you think this game pushes for discussion outside of the world that it's created and beyond? Doesn't really make sense here, does it?
I don't think so.
No. So that question, comes from like video games where people make like fake video game worlds. This is like based in reality, right? Like everything here is, words that people would see on their everyday potentially, depending on if their everyday is 2016 American politics. I don't think this game is pushing us to think much beyond the game itself. I think this game, with a little bit more love, could potentially do something. Do I still think it would be a really effective game? I think it'd be a very effective game for a very specific thing. And one of the things that I've been thinking about lately is, do educational games want to focus on one specific thing or multiple specific things? And I think that's a point there. Did you want to play one more with me? It's 12:20. I think we have time for one more game on the stream today.
I could, unless someone else
Or does someone want to jump in and play a game? You gotta come in?
Come on.
Get over here. Get over here. You're gonna have to introduce yourself for the last game of today's stream. I'm going to save Lamboozled because this looks like actually the most complex game. But I know that this one's quite simple for the time that we have left, because I also want to make sure that I eat food before the next event.
Fair enough, absolutely.
I'm being selfish. Would you like to introduce yourself to everyone on stream? There's like 1,000 people here.
Oh,
actually,
really?
sorry,
Okay,
100,000 people here.
Hey, 100,000 people. I'm Max. I also work here.
I'm stealing all the workers today.
Yeah.
Welcome to the stream, Max.
Thank you.
And welcome
Thanks
to the Bad Game
me.
Arcade. Okay, so this game, I think we're going to keep the trend. You just kind of watch the end of what we were just playing. So far today, we have played alternative facts and hashtag alternative facts.
Loving the design of all these.
We are now moving away from alternative facts to fake news headlines, which you just watched us make headlines.
Yes.
But it's an alt fact game. So for the camera, I don't know if you can read that, but it's in the yellow here, an alt fact game. So I feel like we have moved, but not very far.
Right.
Considering a lot of the terms are the same. I think you get a pencil because there's pencils in this box. I have not played this game. I've only opened the box, saw this massive mess of cards that I just threw at you accidentally. And I'm hoping to figure out how to play it with you.
Sounds good.
So no pressure. Would you consider yourself an effective or good game player?
I have some practice. I have some
some
practice
practice.
in game playing and such.
Okay. What kind of games do you typically play? If it comes to like card and party games.
There are definitely some like tabletop games that I play, and like some video games, and some
Okay.
some less board games, but some board games.
Some board games.
Here-
Okay. What was
here
the
you go.
last educational game you remember playing?
Goodness, the last like
If
purely
any,
like purely
That
educational
you would consider you would consider education.
that I would consider
Yeah, because like I
educational.
would argue that certain video games have educational qualities.
Yeah,
as
would you
well.
count subtext as education?
I would totally argue that like a game like Minecraft is an educational game.
All right, then
like,
probably Minecraft in that case.
Yeah, like I would totally argue that like a lot of commercial titles can be used as educational tools, and
Totally.
I actually think it's a direction that more resources should be built for, because honestly, like no one's going to the store and buying alternative facts. Like I'm gonna be real with that. I'm sorry to the developers of alternative facts. You probably tried hard.
It looks
and-
great. The design is wonderful, but
Well, it looks okay. It looks fine. It looks fine. I'm kidding. I mean, no, all games are hard, and especially as someone who made a board game and had to pay for all the graphic art for that game, I don't blame anyone for not having the prettiest and most polished game, because
fair
that
enough.
stuff is expensive if you don't have those skills.
Truly.
The true thing in a game is that the game works,
Okay.
that it's not crazy to understand,
Yeah.
and then it's not long. Okay, we're gonna create our own fake news headlines, an all fact game.
Let's
So
do
the
it.
objective of the game today, Max,
Mm-hmm.
is to create fake news headlines
Okay.
based on topics
Right.
from the editor
Right.
using the word cards,
Mhm.
and one blank card filled in with any word a player wishes to use.
Mhm.
So we have blank cards here, and we have a bunch of topic cards here. Okay, so set up. Shuffle and place word cards in the center of the table with the blank cards in a separate pile beside them.
Mhm.
Each player then draws 10 word cards and one blank card in preparation for play. Topic cards should be shuffled and given to the oldest player. How old are you? You don't have to say, you can lie about your age.
20. I'm 22.
Okay, well, just because you're on stream, I don't know if you want people to know. I'm 27, so I'm older than you.
As long as you don't
so-
ask for my social insurance number, I think we're
I
good.
mean, I'm not, but I'm gonna watch the chat for that. Could you imagine a game about like disinformation, a stream about disinformation games just has like a bunch of scam artists in it, just waiting to get you?
They're just preying on the Twitch streams.
Yeah, you can draw 10.
Okay.
Each player draws 10, and then the oldest player is the first player and is the editor for the first round. Okay, so
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
looks like we're about to do something very similar to what Jax and I just did, which was making headlines.
Lovely.
You have your 10 cards.
I in fact did count them correctly. Yes, I have my 10
I'm
cards.
so impressed.
Yeah, I know.
I have my 10 cards too. I'm gonna just put these up here. And put these up here. We have our blank cards here. I'm gonna keep the elastic on them until we need them. So to play, the
Mhm.
editor, which in this starting place is me, takes the top card from the topic pile and reads it out loud.
Okay.
The environment.
The
I'm
environment.
gonna put it so you can see it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
our
yeah.
topic. The editor also decides how long we have to make a fake news headline.
Okay.
Everyone but me, so just you in this case.
In fact, just me.
Does this say how many people it's for? It doesn't say on the box. It doesn't say on the it says 2-day players ages 16 plus. So you're old enough to play. Congratulations.
Okay. Awesome.
16
awesome.
plus.
I was
Did this
worried
one
for a
have an
second.
age on it? Now that I'm just wondering, we'll come back to it. 2 to 6 players, 14 to adult was hashtag alternative facts.
Is that not just to like encourage or I don't know?
I would
discourage
say
people
this one
from,
is because of the
like-
content. This is
Fair-
why
oh,
they probably
fair,
did 14.
fair,
I
fair,
don't
yeah.
know why this one is 16 and up, but we can play it and ask if that's an age that we think is fair. Yeah, who determines what age rating a game should be? I don't. There is no official when it comes to like educational games. I mean, if you're making math games and you're like tying it to the curriculum, you're going to
Yeah.
do exactly what the curriculum wants you. Like you're gonna be like, well, this is grade 3 curriculum for fractions, so that's what our game is. For games like these, it's really interesting because these are issues that impact us all. Like honestly,
Yeah.
any kid that's online is in some capacity getting impacted by media literacy related
Mhm, yeah.
concerns.
Absolutely.
Some of the topics might not matter to the kids as much. And so it's like, what did your game go for? So like the board game I made, Lizards and Lies, I I would say you probably want to be 16 to play. Not because I think the content of the game is intense, but I think the complexity of the game is intense. And I was just talking about how games should be too complex, and that's a concern I have with that game.
From what I heard about Lizards and Lies, from editing that podcast extensively and listening to your voice for hours on end. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's a game that I recommend for slightly older individuals. So you're going to have between 1 to 3 minutes. It's the first round, so I'll give you 3 minutes, but you don't have to take all that time. And to make a fake news headline using the 10 cards you have. You don't have to use all the 10 cards.
About the environment.
Yeah, you don't have to use all 10 cards.
Can I look at these as like a poker situation?
Yes, okay, totally. I also think you get one.
It's a great start.
You get one.
Get one.
And you can use any word you want on that card. You can use one. You can put one word on the blank card to help you with your headline.
So that's why I have this pencil.
Yeah,
that was my next question.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. You're in for it now. I mean, I think I'm going to do this with you anyways. I just won't vote for my own, just to see how this process goes.
I feel like I need to like map these out. I'm just going to...
I mean, you can totally put them down on the table and go through there. No one's... So your goal is to make a fake news headline about the environment, by the way.
Okay.
Okay.
The environment. How do I tie it all back together? This is a crazy map of words here.
I got a great sentence here. Okay. I got a killer headline right here. No looking.
Sorry, I didn't see it.
Come on, Max.
I saw a capital D. That's it.
Wow, that's right. I don't know how to engage with that without going the wrong way on this. Okay, I feel like writing one word on this card makes it hard for me.
Yeah, truly.
There should be a single word for environmental activists, envirodists. That would really help me right now. Hey, someone played this game before. There's like a word printed into this card.
Like embossed on the...
Someone wrote bombs.
Oh, shoot. I mean, if that's what they needed. Okay.
Man, I want both an adjective and a word. This feels very much more like a lesson.
I'm just adding adjectives and trying to think about which order to put them in.
Oh, I'm getting a hint at what you're writing about here.
Well, yeah. I'm just gonna write it all big, like. All right, I think I have my headline.
Okay, I got two options here. I'm gonna stick with the first one I had. You have your headline here?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I would love to hear your headline for everyone here today.
Okay, so my headline is killer fugitive AI billionaires have real wet feet.
Okay. You say it one more time. Say it one more time for me.
Killer fugitive AI billionaires have real wet feet.
Okay, and that's about the environment.
It's about the environment. Yeah, okay. They have because they're dipping their toes into the unconscionable.
I mean I feel like as a headline I'd read it and have questions, but
well, that's why you'd read further.
But you might read further because of it. But your explanation does ground it a little bit. I want to read this article, says someone in the chat. Someone also says creative writing class, which is, I think in terms of this game is kind of like...
That's actually a good point. That'd be fun.
I think you can just take this game and do it for anything. Like they made it for headlines, but like maybe not. But like...
Yeah, well, I mean, if you had this like if you you make the headline and then say, okay, now write the paper.
Like make a title of a short story, and like you have it right here, right? Like what makes this a headline for fake news specifically? But anyways, mine here is
what's yours?
Democratic bad girls bombed airline, and I was thinking about the soup cans on paintings. That's why I wanted enviro activist as a word, but it's just a single word. I feel like you get a point because there's no points in this game, and because if it's in a two-player game, you just always get the card
Gotcha.
So
then you get the card, and then
you get to pull the next card. We draw back up to 10 with
Okay.
whatever you still don't have, and we go again.
This is the next. Oh wow! Here we go.
We're writing.
Buckle up.
We're writing about the Middle East. Okay, I need to draw 5 more cards.
I think the internet's been waiting for specifically our opinions on this topic.
Oh, 100%. 2 people in Montreal writing, creating a headline about the Middle East. Totally what they're here for. Totally what they're here for.
I have
it's a fake news headline about the Middle East. I don't think I have a good card here.
All right. Should I just use the other side of this red card?
Totally.
Okay.
Totally. I mean, you can also use a new card. I don't feel like, yeah. Someone's chat is like, this is a fun, everyone wins and loses. So I think in a 2-player game, it's one of those, like, it's just going to be 3 rounds because you play a card, you're not technically supposed to make a headline, so I would just get it by default.
Oh, gotcha.
Whereas like in a multiple player game, then there's like, it's that apples to apples thing of like,
Right,
whose
so,
headline's the best.
Right, yeah. So you're kind of delegating. at
Yeah.
that point. As the editor.
Exactly.
You're picking,
Right. Which is,
well, thanks for picking my paper last time. I appreciate that.
Anytime.
It's
But I do think this is like an actual like great idea for like a creative writing generator. You just give
Not a
people
bad
like
idea.
a bunch of cards and then have them make titles, and then you can talk about like whether, I mean, this is pretty much the last game we played without the colors, the points, and the sentence structure, right? And so if I'm actually comparing what's being done here and then what we just played, I would argue that the other game is a more structured version of explaining how that comes together. Because you have to layer it together.
Yeah, I kind of see that.
Doesn't make it great though. Doesn't make it like awful. It's not amazing. Okay, I have to make a fake news headline about the Middle East.
Can you like
this.
I'm assuming you could probably just like change the like tense of things or like the
I think that's fair.
plurality of
I think
things.
that's fair.
Okay.
I don't think there's no hard and fast rules about that. You also, these are called full of it points, in case you didn't know. So you're really full of it right now.
I'm full of it. Absolutely full of it.
I'm trying to think here. This is not going well for me. Yeah, so this one has more creativity. The other one has more directedness. Yeah. This is more of a word salad than the previous one was more focused around disinformation. I would also agree that this is very word salady because I'm like looking at my cards here. Yeah. I have these are my options here to try to make a headline about the Middle East. I have hot tub, likes, boys, sex, news, always, fate, thousands, stops, and business. And I'm like, I don't have a lot here that like in any capacity relates to the Middle East. Not that like there's any single word that could be used to define any specific space.
Well, I feel like I kind of got a bit of a blessing card. I got a fox.
Ooh.
So like even with this card, you could say like fox likes hot tub sex boys. And I feel like that's a statement in and of itself. You know?
I mean, hot tub sex boys is like a really sketchy fake news headline.
Absolutely.
I was looking at that. I was also looking at like business stops as like some kind of like industry based thing.
Or fox always likes hot tub sex boys.
Oh my goodness! Look at that. You're making you get another full of it point.
well, you
made my sentence for me.
Just because I had the magic card.
Yeah, you have. It's true. Like I didn't have like a good starter.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, all these cards are kind of like you kind of end up with a bit of a nonsense.
Well, I could do like a. Okay, wait. I'm working with some of your suggestions here.
You could have a PBS because I also got that. But I don't really.
And I just read the word. Okay, here we go. My headline is Hot Tub Sex Business Stops Thousands of Boys.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Thank you. I don't know if that has anything to do with the Middle East. This game may have moved to 18 plus. Yeah. I think we understand why it's 16 plus now in terms of some of the cards that are there. But like they didn't have to do that. They like just ended up doing that. You know what I mean? Like the game was purely optional, and they were like, "We're going to make it for this age group." How are you feeling about this game? Do you feel like we need to play it again to understand it more?
I think I don't know. I think I kind of get it, but you kind of have to get into the swing of it, you know, because the sentences don't entirely work out. The headline I kind of came up with was
yes, let's hear it.
Fox loves small shock eats. So like little tidbit pieces.
Okay.
Well, actually, I use the word pieces, so I could do small shock pieces. But I feel like this is more in the spirit of the game.
It is more in the spirit of the game. I like it.
Small shock eats.
I think that mine was technically a catchier headline, much more problematic.
I'll give it to you.
But I mean, you're not allowed to take it anyways. So, so I think instead of playing another round, because I feel like everyone here has understood this game, and honestly, I'm not feeling this one in terms of like a fake news game. But I'm gonna read through some of the other topics that we can work with.
Yeah, please.
Just to kind of get a vibe for what's going here. So we've had the environment, we've had Amazon, the Middle East. This next one is the Amazon. Then I have.
Is that like the Amazon or Amazon?
It's just as Amazon, so I would assume the company.
Right. Yeah,
but you could play it either way.
That's more topical. I guess.
Any political turmoil we have right here. Healthcare. We have one's a question. How did the Democrats lose? Which I think like that sets you up for like a different style of headline.
Yeah.
So I really think like Russia, FBI, Trump said what in local news, ... world news, racism in America, tweets, terrorists, the economy, celebrity drama, travel bans, North Korea, Trump, and war on drugs.
No disrespect to this game, but it kind of sounds like it was written in 2016, 2017. It's giving 2017.
Right, same vibe as the other ones. This was also made in Austin, Texas. This is on the rule sheet.
Bold.
Yeah. Old. I mean, for some games, yes. For other games, no. But it is a thing of like it's compared to the three games we played are all very similar.
Right.
Technically, Alternative Facts had the most like distinct set of mechanics out of the other ones. I'm like, how are you feeling about this game? Do you like it? Do you hate it? What's your hot takes?
I'm okay. If I were to rate it out of 10, I would give it a I would give it a 6 or maybe like a low 6. I feel like there's like potential for some shenanigans. I feel like it could be funny, especially with like strange headline word fits. But yeah, I don't know if I would play too many rounds of this game.
Yeah, I feel like as like a player, like when we talked about Party Night earlier, I don't think this is like a Party Night game. Someone in the chat also said the topics that we just listed kind of sours their view of the game. Like they're not actually a fan of like those as suggestions.
That's fair. I think it's
really political.
It's not it. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, you know, if I were to not have the fact that this paper, are there similar games based on Canadian or Quebecois themes? Not that I personally have in like my repertoire, but would it be hard to do that? No. Like anyone, like honestly, like this game is such a simple concept.
Yeah.
That you could totally make one, right? Like you would just read a bunch of like Quebecois or Canadian news headlines and then just take some of the, like the gimmicks from there, right?
Yeah, like I feel like if the editor was coming up with the topic, that would kind of give a lot more room. So then if you have the editor saying, okay, the topic is this, and it could be anything you want.
Yeah.
Quebecois or otherwise.
I mean, I would just put like Lego as one of the themes, right? Like you just like, and that alone is enough to go off of, or like you talk about like language law reveals or like things like that, like are very easy to put in. But I'm wondering, like, if I got rid of fake news headline as like the title that frames the game for you, and I just said like create your own, and then just gave you these cards,
right?
Would this still be a game about fake news? Would it still be an alt fact game?
It definitely could be if you think about it. If you're trying to come up with something kind of like absurd, a little obtuse, a little not grounded in actual fact. I feel like you could. I feel like you could get away with it.
You could, but
it could be too open ended though. In terms of like a party content, I don't know if that would.
Like I think it's a bit open ended for that to work. You know what I mean? Like I feel like they just took a game and we're like, we're gonna slightly shift it to make an alt facts game.
Yeah, and I don't even care if this is like more political necessarily, but I just feel like I don't know. It's like pop political almost, where it's just kind of like, I don't know, trivializing these kinds of
all of these are very gotcha, which I mean I guess
exactly
that's the point of a headline though. Like when we're talking about like headlines for fake news, right, it's about like emotional language, it's about like preying on audiences, so like
totally
you would do something like that. And I don't hate the idea of trying to teach how these things go by having players make them. Like I think if you're trying to talk about like how to get a catchy headline, you try to like have them make them. And that's why I liked like the point system that alternative facts had, because it was like words were weighted,
totally,
which I think is good.
I mean, I guess it's all about like learning that like style of reading to like suss out fake news, like articles. Like, oh, this is like a buzzword that's being added for shock. Should I am I actually reading further to like understand the nuances of like the decision for this word, or am I just like taking it at face value?
No, exactly. And there's a lot of questions that kind of come up in like the design that these are also similar. And so to kind of round off our analysis and the stream today, because we'll probably be ending shortly, we're going to go through kind of the 3 main points of analyses that you would typically go through when you're trying to break down like a video game, that I'm trying to apply to like breaking down board games. And so the first is like the interface. So the card backs, what we have on the table, what kind of images we're seeing on the cards. I mean, this is a very plain game. The cards are white. There's no card back. It's just a word. The one thing has a trophy on it.
The design was pretty low key.
It felt very storyboardy. Do you feel like that kind of low key, very bland design points to what it's trying to do, or does it kind of just point to like laziness in design? Or something
I don't know. I feel like you could definitely play up the like the newspaper aesthetic a bit more. I feel like that could be leaned into a lot more. Like if it's like a Fox style headline, like there's always a bunch of like colors and whatnot, like on like design it like an internet article, I guess. I don't know. Like it has a very like pencil paper box type design, and like the trophy feels a little out of place.
Well, and the box itself has like a scrap piece of paper on the cover, right? Like their actual box design is like a scrap piece of paper with like ripped up shreds on it. I would love, and it's probably also a thing of cost, but like I could see a version where you make like the slot in template for the fake news game. We're like, because we're supposed to pick so many cards to make, we have 10, but we pick so many to make a headline. So like if you have like a thing where you slot in your words, kind of like a Mad Libs, but not like that directive, that alone sets like more of a framing for what I'm doing, right? Because part of these games is like how you frame these games to people to make it happen. Okay, that's the interface. What about the actual actions that you take? Did you find that the mechanics of the game were educational? Were they connected to learning things or anything like that?
No, not particularly. I honestly think, like, I was actually gonna ask, like, do you think there's potential for it to like, because it doesn't actually show the like the truer alternative, so you're not really like learning about like the genuine side of like of writing these articles. You're just pushing BS.
I mean, that was one of the concerns I had with this game, is that you're just pushing a bunch of bullcrap and then you're never actually getting the truth.
Like what's the like construct a true news headline? How about that?
I mean, what does that look like? I mean, I think that's really reasonable. And when we think about like the mechanics, like I think any game can be made educational, and that relies on how the teachers implement it in their classroom, right?
Totally,
like, if I were to just put this in my classroom and leave it for my students to play, I don't think they're getting anything out of it. Like I don't think they're learning anything from that. But if I'm running a whole lesson about creative writing and headlines, then I totally can. It's not a problem at all. I mean, not a problem. I mean, I don't think it's amazing for that. I also don't know what like a boxed version of this game. I would never. No one buy this game. I totally like just make it yourself. Like
fair.
This whole thing is like super easy to make yourself.
Yeah,
like,
I guess you could just like get a piece of paper and
you can just get a piece of paper. You can even just like make a bunch of keyword cards. And, like,
truly.
You can just use random word generators, fill a spreadsheet, and then like print that off. The only thing this game is doing is like the topics that you're writing around are themed, and then some of the words are themed, right? We have like Democrats in there. And I'm assuming there's other American terms. I think Trump was in there.
A good few times, I think. Was it?
Use fridge magnet words. I think a fridge magnet game could be kind of fun.
Oh yeah, like fake news headline.
Like you actually give a little magnet board to the players, and they get like little like terms of phrases that are magnets.
I feel like that'd be fun.
That would be even just more mechanically fun, and it would also have the idea of storyboarding a little bit more built into it. I think that's a great idea.
I love the little like fridge magnet sentence builder situations. If it were more headliney,
because it doesn't like the mechanics don't really feel like you're building a headline. It feels like I'm just like taking a mass of cards and trying to put them
Making
together.
some sentence that has
Whereas
like some semblance
some kind of
relation.
slotting it. Yeah, you're selling me on this idea. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Max and I both are gonna be your first investors.
Also, I'd say there's like more validation for having it in a box. Like I feel like you could just put the prompts on the internet and then give me a piece of paper. I could write these headlines. Or I could play this game.
It's true. I feel like you release like, so if I were to make this at a game jam, I'd release this version online. Download files, just download the game for yourself, and then I would make the magnet version.
Yeah,
as the sale version.
Validate the use of cardboard.
Yeah, like I want it because you want to sell something as like the person, but like the magnet version where like you're adding some really, like the beauty of like physical games that I find card games struggle with is tactility. Like, card games don't feel super tactile compared to other board games that exist. Like you're not like playing with tokens, you're not moving pieces, you're just moving around cards, which there is tactileness to it. Don't get me wrong, but if that tactileness doesn't directly relate to like what you're trying to teach, which this does a little bit, it's a little bit there. It's not there. Okay, holistically the gameplay. Do you feel like you had a lot of choice in this game?
No, not particularly, because I felt like the sentences that I threw out ended up being kind of like mishmashed, and I had to like it's like you throw something at the wall and try to decipher the like original meaning of like the headline topic based on like whatever concoction I've like devised based on like,
for sure,
so I don't know, I feel like it was a little hard to actually construct something like I could lie and make a fake news headline and it would be way more interesting.
Yeah, I think like that is a point of like ability though, because you seem like a creative person.
Oh well, thanks.
I mean, and so I feel like you'd be good at that, whereas like I know for myself and other people, like being full free reign to write something would actually be harder.
Yeah, kind of
but I was also kind of a little bit stumped until you were like, you can just do that, and I was like, oh yeah, you're right.
Well, the Fox card was actually super helpful because I was looking at that, I was like, how am I supposed to make any kind of like even fake commentary on this topic? But then when you're like, oh well, this person is saying this, this group is saying this thing, like especially someone like or like a group like Fox, you can kind of clown on the internet endlessly.
Yeah, no, I think that's really reason why I like that.
Kind
I like
of opens
that a lot.
the gates.
It does. There's a space for agency there. Did this game remind you of anything? Any other games? Any other genres? Any pieces like that?
Other than the like, well, actually, I guess there was this. I guess to answer your first question, the last like educational game I played, it was like you have cards in your hand and you're supposed to like make words. It's like either letters or like double like th or something. You're trying to make words. It kind of feels like that. You kind of end up just with like kind of like whatever fits. It kind of felt like that. I don't know. I don't know if you're familiar with that kind of
thing. I mean, I get what you're getting at. There are some party games that have that kind of vibe.
Other than the apples to apples kind of
no, for sure
situation.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of that. Okay, well, that's kind of all the questions for now because I'll also do a deeper dive on my own. But thank you for playing. Thank you for your time. Thank you to the other Force Space team for playing games with me today. You're all amazing. You're all incredible. Thank you to the people who tuned in on the stream because you're incredible too. Because without you, I wouldn't have such a great conversation back and forth with you all and some great ideas for now a magnet-based game that I'm going to either steal from you or work with you on.
Yeah, actually.
So in case you are interested in the Bad Game Arcade and what else is happening, in about around 1:45, we'll be doing interviews with some of the devs later today. There will be a panel tonight from 3:30 to about 5:30 around how do we facilitate games? How do we get these in the classrooms? How do we do that effectively? You can just Google Bad Game Arcade if you have questions or want to learn more. Thanks for tuning in. You're incredible people. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
Drink lots of water. Stay hydrated. Stretch. Move your bodies. I'm going to go do that right now. I don't actually know how to end the stream in this specific space. So whoever in the Force Space is in charge of that, please end the stream. And thanks for being here, everyone. I think it's going to just play out.